President Duterte has been basking in high ratings since the beginning of his term. You begin to wonder how he has managed to maintain such ratings. In a new controversial documentary released in 2020, a number of things about the bad during his term were highlighted, and that includes how public opinion via social media around Duterte's election was manipulated. What is this documentary all about, and what does it say about the current Philippine president? This is Speak Up, bringing you all the information about issues from around the world straight from major foreign news sites. The news will be made simpler and more interesting, maintaining the views of the news sites we will be sourcing from. Let's look into what this new documentary tackled and what it has to do with President Duterte. In a documentary directed by a multi-awarded Filipino-American filmmaker, you can have a peek at the type of leadership President Duterte has as viewed by certain people in the media. During his term, the president has been fighting two major wars that caught international attention. One being the bloody drug war and the other an increasingly becoming dangerous one against the press. It covered issues such as the rising authoritarianism in the country, the disinformation that has been happening, the president's supporters, and press freedom. The rise of authoritarianism. As said by an analyst, the Philippines is one of the countries experiencing a decline in democracy in recent years, just like what has been observed in supposedly democratic countries such as the United States, Holland, Hungary, and Russia. A pattern that has become evident in regimes in these countries is the said gradual elimination of opposition. In the Philippines, President Duterte has already shown how he deals with his critics. One of them has been in jail for almost 3 years now for drug charges. Disinformation. One thing that also has an eroding effect on democracy is the spread of digital disinformation, which was one of the film's central figures. It compares the state of the Philippines to that of the US in terms of the use of social media to spread fake news. According to the film, Cambridge Analytica tested out its methods in the Philippines to manipulate public opinion on President Duterte. Cambridge Analytica is a political data firm that was involved in a major political scandal in 2018 for allegedly harvesting the personal data of millions of people's Facebook profiles without their consent to use it for political advertising purposes. The film also shows how Rappler, an online news portal founded in 2012, became the staunchest debunker of the misinformation and the fake news that have been circulating in the country. And how since then, President Duterte has turned his ire towards the news outlet, which then relates to the next issue tackled in the documentary, press freedom. Through the continuous attacks received by Rappler, a good example of how critical media has been treated under the Duterte government was also shown. In 2 years, Rappler has been charged with violation of the anti-dummy law for issuing Philippine Depositary Receipts or PDRs to a foreign investor, and cyber libel for a 2012 article that had reported a former Philippine Supreme Court Chief Justice who had been using a luxury vehicle owned by a controversial businessman who was said to be involved in illegal drugs and human trafficking. In January 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, revoked Rappler's license to operate as a mass media entity. This was in violation of the Constitution's foreign equity restrictions in mass media by being wholly foreign-owned. It was also the same time when the NBI issued subpoenas to Maria Ressa, a co-founder of Rappler and a former Rappler researcher for cyber libel. What do these charges against Rappler have to do with press freedom? Well, for one, on the cyber libel charge. The prescriptive period for libel, which is just 1 year, has already passed, but the controversial businessman still sought clarification about the article written about him and was able to file a case. As Rappler has said, this case has actually put not only the press but anyone who publishes anything online in danger of being charged with libel at any given time. Second, the 3 mentioned are not the only cases filed against Rappler. Aside from violations of the anti-dummy law, alleged foreign ownership, and cyber libel, it was also charged with tax evasion. In less than 2 months, Maria Ressa had to post bail 6 times. Duterte's supporters. A part of the documentary is an interview with some of the Philippines President Duterte's supporters. This provided a glimpse of the former police chief who initially led the drug war in the country. In his interview, he was asked what made him run for one of the top positions in the government. And he answered that aside from wanting to do it for quite some time, the president also instructed him to do so. As mentioned in an interview with Maria Ressa and the director of the documentary, other people saw the running of the president's supporters for Senate as his way of putting his loyal lieutenants in the upper house to protect his interests apart from his agenda of governance. The documentary also brought up another of the president's fans who was a singer-dancer turned assistant secretary of the Presidential Communications Operations Office or PCOO. She helped with Duterte's presidential campaign back in 2016. However, data shows that a lot of this information comes from her account, and she was even called the Queen of Fake News. As said in an International Documentary Association article, after Duterte's win and his declaration of war against illegal drugs in 2016, bodies started to pile up in the streets. To suppress independent reporting, the president was said to have unleashed a powerful disinformation campaign through social media, and in an attempt to debunk any misinformation, Rappler became a target of continuous harassment. Through the documentary, it can be witnessed how another war has arisen. It is another war that is almost as dangerous as the drug war. It is the war between the press and the government. This is Speak Up. Thank you for watching.